I begin? My question is along the lines of your opening statements, and I understand it all. And I have lived my life, I feel like, in such a way that my strongest desires were for positive, healthy relationships. You know, abundance and those kinds of things have come easier to me since I understood that, but relationships. So I've had situations in my life and tragedy, upset, things that I can't tell you I feel like I helped create. If I do have to take all that responsibility, my question is, how do I stay in love with who I am?
Because your inner being has stayed in love with who you are, and your quest is to seek harmony with your inner being. In fact, every time you judge yourself or condemn yourself or feel bad, that's your indication that you're off the mark of how Source feels about you. And don't you think Source ought to know?
I do get that, I think. But it has to do more with, is there a line? Because I've been to therapists.
Nope.
Can I give you an example?
Sure.
I don't know where to begin, but...
We do. Relationships are significant because you're interacting with others all the time. And how you feel has a lot to do with how you perceive others. And there's an inordinate amount of care from you and almost everybody about how others see you. So there has been, for all of your life, a tremendous amount of futile attempt at contouring your life to please others, which has messed up your own sensitivity to your own guidance system. Almost everybody we would be saying pretty much the same thing to. So as you've been following us here, and we're going to get right to what you're talking about, so just relax and trust that this is all going to smooth right out for you. As we've been talking here today about this path of least resistance, what most people do without even knowing they're doing it is that you try to make a path of lesser resistance for that one and that one and that one and that one. And in the process of it, two things happen. One is you distract them from their own guidance, and two is you distract yourself from your own guidance. And 3 out of 2 and 4 out of 2 and 5 out of 2 and 6 out of 2 is it backfires 100% of the time anyway. You just kind of got to let people figure stuff out and not try so hard to be the factor that makes it better for all of them. And once you decide that that's how it's going to be, and you begin translating that into behavior, things just get better and better. You can be so good to some that you disable them completely. You can be so good to some that they become almost demanding of more from you. It's like you start a trend where they get used to their sustenance coming from you, and then if you have the nerve to stop it in some way, then they become sometimes outraged, because it's like you've cut them off from the good that they deserve and that they have demanded through you. Well, it's time for you to allow them to discover that, like you and like everyone, they have a stream of care and attention and resources that is going directly to them from Source. And you're going to let them discover that for themselves, and you stop holding yourself responsible for things that you can't control, that were never any of your business to begin with. You'll feel way better once you start recognizing that.
My husband committed suicide.
Good for him. Because every death is suicide. Every death is. Every death is. Some are just more deliberate about the way they go about it. But every death is a response to that vibration between who they really are. And so let's talk about that. If everything that we say is as it is, and it all is as we say it is, it all is as we say it is. So as he's living his life, he's putting all of this into his vortex. And without meaning to, like so many, holding himself apart from his own vortex. When you've created a masterful vortex and you hold yourself so definitively apart from it, it is very hard to take. So one of two things happen. Either you find a way to find alignment while you're still in your physical body, or you find a way to find alignment when you're not in your physical body. But in any case, you find a way to find alignment. And everything that we were saying to you in that sort of hypothetical sense is our message to you that you could not have stood on your head in enough different ways to have made any difference whatsoever. It is not about you. 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 It is not about you.
I didn't help create it then.
Well, so did every other person on the planet. If the cat had stopped peeing on the couch.
What it created is my family fell completely apart. I have 2 daughters that are in a religion that if you're not in that religion, they have a hard time understanding you.
Almost every religion's like that.
Yeah.
In other words, let's just start there. Almost everyone has a hard time understanding almost everyone. And the reason for that is you did not say, I'll go into this time-space reality and I'll understand everyone. That would make you crazy. That's what Facebook is doing to you. You're so involved in everybody else's lives, you're completely unfocused about your own.
Yeah. Do I just let go, though, of my grandchildren? I have 8 grandchildren and 2 daughters, and I can't seem to get to a place where I can accept I don't get to see them.
Here's the thing. Don't get to the place where you accept. That's like, we don't want you or anyone to ever get to the place where you accept that something that you want can't be. But something that will soothe you today, this minute, immediately, is if you can accept that you have a vibrational relationship with them that you can focus upon and get a feeling for all day, every day. And don't let the absence of the manifestation, just because the manifestation isn't the way you want it this red hot minute, doesn't mean that what you want does not exist. You got to focus unconditionally for a while. And it's our promise to you. When you focus unconditionally for a while, so that you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, feeling better, the universe will orchestrate a way for you to rendezvous with the things that you want. It must be. It is law. But that isn't what you've been doing. You've been focusing upon the reality that's tearing you up, keeping you from being in vibrational alignment with your vortex, with what you want. And so what you're getting is what you're a vibrational match to. It's okay. But it doesn't have to feel so bad, you see.
I get that.
How else are you going to sort it out? You're going to say, all right, well, you guys belong to a religion that believes a way that I don't. So something's got to change. Either you got to join me or I got to join you. And all of you stand there and say to each other, we're not going, we're not coming. And so then you say, okay, then that's got to be the end of it, because if we can't make peace in this one, we say, no, it's not the end of it. It's the beginning of it. Because in all of that discord, you're launching rockets of desire. You're remembering who you are. Do you know that as you came into this physical experience as these clusters, that not only are you eternally tied to these children and grandchildren, but all who have come before are also tied, and they are all non-physically focused and looking here too. In other words, to be in a place where you have cut yourself off from the attitude of love and you're using some bogus thing as your justification for it, you don't want to perpetuate that in them. You don't want to stand in resistance to them. You don't want to wave the red blanket in front of the raging bull and cause them more discord from who they are. If you love your children, and we know you do, and you love your grandchildren, and we really know you do, but if you love your children, and we know you do, and you love your grandchildren, and we know you do, and you love your children, and we know you do, if you love anyone, and we know you do, then your dominant intention is to help them as best you can find alignment with who they are. And opposing them and making them wrong and staking your claim and showing them where they're wrong is not the way to go about it. You just got to remember who you all are as source, and you got to remember how you felt when they were little, and how you felt when they got married, and how you felt and how you felt and how you felt. This is the best opportunity that we have ever seen, not because it's big and not because it's tragic and not because it's a big burden. This is the perfect opportunity to discover not just the relief of unconditional love, but the power of it. When you blame yourself, you're walking around with this advertisement that says, I'm to blame. I'm to blame. And weaker people who haven't learned about focus and who don't really care that much about how they feel pick up on your vibe and blame you. So you keep getting blamed for stuff that you have nothing to do with, not because they're looking for a way to blame you, but because you have been carrying that around. Someone who feels guilty will attract someone who has a propensity to blame. It's this law of attraction thing. So what we want to help you to do is to acknowledge that you've been doing just fine, and that the source within you adores you, and that this person who made his transition into non-physical holds no blame whatsoever upon you or upon himself, because now he's in a place where he understands what's really going on. So as you relax little by little and get feeling better and letting yourself like yourself more in the natural way that you will, what happens is we may be channeling Taylor Swift. Haters gotta hate, 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 hate. Haters gotta hate, 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 hate. And you just gotta shake it off. Shake it off.
Thank you.
Because you cannot please them. You can't understand. The only thing that you can do is to come in alignment with your source. And when you do, the return to that steady, consistent love. See, the thing about relatives is that you got to catch them on a good day. The thing about source is it's always a good day. But you got to be in the vicinity of the good day that source is always flowing to you. So as you find these thoughts that are easier for you to hook up with source, so that you become addicted to that connection, what will happen is you'll find yourself unwilling and eventually not even capable of focusing upon those thoughts that have been putting the resistance on your trail. And this is going to be hard for you to hear, but it's the reality that we want you to know. It's not the decision of your children that is keeping you from your grandchildren. It's the resistance that you've put on your own trail in response to what you think they mean or what you think they're saying to you. Feels like it's a reality that they are creating, because these are demands that they're making. These are edicts that they are putting out there. But that's never what is really happening. Your response to them is just causing you to pile more and more and more stuff on your trail, on your path of least resistance, that's preventing you from what you want. But as you get your attention off of that and on other things, that will begin to dissipate more and more. And then it will one day just feel logical to them. These children are not going to be that old before they begin requesting time with you. And in their alignment, their connection to source, their power of influence will be much greater. And that rendezvous is a sure thing. It's a done deal. It has happened many, many times in the vortex, and it will bring itself all the way to fruition. You've just got to stop being sad in the meantime. We really want to make that statement to anyone who wants anything that hasn't yet manifested. You got to stop being bent out of shape over the fact that the manifestation hasn't happened, because you're being uncomfortable about the fact that the manifestation hasn't happened is what's causing you to put all the stuff on the trail and preventing it from happening sooner. It's not possible for you to not get what you want. We just don't think you should have to croak in order to get your resistance to go away. That is extreme, but it works. But we don't think you should have to do that in order for your resistance to be away. You see?